As you are introducing me, you spoke about my interest in cognitive science. In cognitive science, change is looked at in a different way. How do people look at change? Whenever change happens, the first thing that happens is there is a state of denial. People deny it totally. This is followed by a state of anger. People are very angry just such a thing is happening. In the first instance, they deny whatever is happening. And then they're very angry with what is happening. The third stage, when they realize, that this is here to stay and nothing much can be done about it, they start negotiating with themselves. Okay, I'll accept this portion of it. This portion of it is not right. I'll not accept it. This is not going to happen. They start trying to befool themselves that that is not how things are going to happen. And those portions of the change which are convenient to them, they accept. That is the third stage. The fourth stage is of depression. When they are depressed, when they realize, that change has set in, they can do nothing about it. And they, some people take advantage of it. Some feel that they are a victim of the circumstances. They feel depressed. And the final stage, the fifth stage, is of acceptance. Where, they accept, done. It's done and dusted. They are not going back to having that. And so what do we do next? People in this country or across the globe are at various stages in these 5 stages. Some have accepted it and they are moving forward. Some are still in a state of denial. Some are angry that such things are happening and people are advocating that they also accept it. Some are trying to negotiate with themselves that this portion of it, I'm ready to accept, this portion, no. Some are depressed. But in whichever stage they are, I wouldn't say that, they are in the wrong stage because, depending upon their level of maturity and understanding of the situation all around them, they are there. So I would not say that we have entered the new normal. We are in that cusp of transition when things are not yet clear because the pandemic is still evolving itself. Yesterday we were 268,000 counting, and today I was in another platform where I was discussing with people. People were telling, that thousands of them, for every one person, maybe 100 people do not go for testing even when they are having symptoms. And many of them are going for this rapid antigen test or something which is available in the chemist shop. They just check it. If it is positive, they quarantine themselves. I think many are not coming out. Day before yesterday, in one of the interviews on the television, the speaker, an epidemiologist of repute, was telling that 90 times more than what is being reported is what is the spread of the pandemic. Imagine 90 times. That means today when the government is telling it is 2.68 lakhs, give or take a couple of thousands, you are nearing around 2 crores. Or maybe, if my mathematics is right, 2 into 90 is something like around 180 lakhs, which is around 2 crores. That is what is the spread today. And people are still, most of them are in a state of denial. We are moving into a normal, which is not going to be like anything which any of us are habituated to. This civilization, we are at that watershed when, we are passing over from one type of lifestyle into a totally different type. And the sooner people wake up to it, the better it is for them. You see, those people, those children who are born in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's not going to affect them at all, because they are going to grow up in the new normal. That is the way they will see life. For those most of us who are already retired, it is not going to matter at all. Because you see, we are at that stage in life when we have seen everything. Our active role is over, maybe other than being a mentor, a guide, or an advisor to the younger generation. We have got nothing much to do. But it is that portion of the population, a huge majority. Let us not forget, we are a young country with the average life, the average age of 29 years. And this is this sector which is going to be hit tremendously. Schools have been shut again. The government has ordered the schools to be shut. Schools are going to shut down. Already up to class 8, everything is shut. Now the rest is also going to shut down. 3 years of education going away means a very big thing. The entire education industry is in a turmoil. The entire teaching industry is in a turmoil. Whenever I speak to teachers and tell them the need for implicit teaching, they just smile, give me an all-knowing smile. As if to say, oh, we have heard all this and more. Everything will go back to normal. Nothing is going to go back to normal. And you see, maybe this will drag on like this for another year. Come 2023, education system will realize that now online education, online training is the only solution. Otherwise, the disruption, the chaos which is being caused by constant reopening and shutting of schools, the disconnect which is there is very severe. Have you thought, Ms. Suma, about, leave alone the education aspect of it, the social aspect of it on the children? They are not in touch with anybody. Where are their social skills? It's all blown.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So where are their critical analysis skills? Where are their emotional intelligence skills? It's all gone for a toss. How are they going to handle it?
Now, with this point, I have a question for you, Mr. Subramanian. Does it take more time to acclimatize the confidence, and how fast or how deep it is with this situation now?
Can you come again? I couldn't hear you properly. Your voice somewhere is breaking.
With this, you telling that, socially there is a challenge, social intelligence, emotional intelligence is a challenge. Do you see a confidence as a challenge now in this new normal? And how fast will it take to go deep or penetrate? Will it take more time to acclimatize the confidence?
See, this is where family leadership has to behave in a very mature fashion. What is the meaning of family leadership? It's very, it is cliche to say leadership has to rise up to the challenge. I'm not talking about political leadership. I'm not talking about corporate leadership. I'm talking about leadership at the family level. The father, the mother, the elders of the family, they need to accept that things are not the same anymore. If things have been uncertain for 2 years, do they remember in recorded history any time when mankind has been put to 2 years of absolute uncertainty? Not being able to understand what is going to happen tomorrow? Not knowing how to move forward? Becoming desperate? You see, when I see all these gatherings in the market and these public rallies and expressions of dissent and everything on the TV, all this is representative of only one thing: a sense of desperation, not knowing what to do. You cannot wish away the COVID. It is there with you. By simply, ostrich behavior will not help. Start looking for solutions. Use your critical analytical skills. Use your design thinking skills. Use your creativity and find out ways and means by which you can overcome it. You owe it to the children whom you have brought into this world to provide them with the necessary guidance, confidence, and leadership so that they can transition smoothly into the new normal. You will not even know when the new normal has come. It has come unbeknownst. It will move, without telling you, and come and sit down on the throne before you can even realize it. Careers will change. Behavior will change. Understanding of life itself will change. The only positive feature in all these things is that man is the most adaptable of creatures. That is why he has evolved over millions of years to hold a position at the top of the animal kingdom. He's at the top of the food cycle only because he's the most adaptable. As Darwin said, it is only the most adaptable of the species which will survive. And similarly, it is the most adaptable of those in this species who will survive this challenge.
Great, Mr. Subramanian, great. You did mention look for the solutions while we were talking this. What do you mean by look for the solutions?
See, I'll tell you. Drop whatever ambitions and ideas you had in your mind. Simply drop it. Because the future is not going to look anything like what you can imagine today based upon your past. The past is just a figment of the imagination. And the future, a challenge for envisioning. And in the present, you neither have the wherewithal to understand how the future is going to look to be able to envision it, nor can you bring anything from the past because you are not in an environment which is supported by past behavior. For instance, let me tell you, a recent research, on what sort of a vertical, what sort of an employment vertical will be the most preferred in the future says cyber security is going to be the number one. Everything is going online. Whether you breathe or not, you need a laptop. Otherwise, you are cut off from this world. Everything is going online. So cyber security is going to be the number one profession in the coming days. And second, popular profession is going to be data scientist. In 2020, 2.5 quintillion data were generated. That means 2.5 into 18 zeros. Mankind generated data at the rate of 1.75 MB per head per second. And for everything, you are going to be depending on data in the coming days. That means data scientists are going to be the most preferred people in the world. Harvard Business School did a survey, and that Professor Hayashi has reported that data scientist is going to be the most sought after job. And what is a data scientist? What does he do? He unifies statistics, analyzes data and informatics, and creates methods to understand and analyze the phenomena which are happening all around him. And this has been necessitated only because of the world going online. How many of us have heard of data scientists? Or how many of us have ever thought the cyber security specialist will become the most sought after people in the world? Number 3, online education and training is going to be the way to educate and train people. Because when you are locked down in your house and moving around is going to be difficult, classroom and aggregated teaching is not going to be there, synchronous teaching is not going to be there, then what do? People have to be educated still, isn't it? People have to be trained. They are expecting this. They have ranked this as the third most, sought after position. Then comes artificial intelligence specialists. You will not believe it, in the last 2 years, Ms. Suma, there has been a 74% increase world over in hiring of artificial intelligence specialists. 74% in last 2 years. That's so very funny.
So you're mentioning,
artificial intelligence I think 2 years back, it was the stuff of which science fiction was made. And you might be thinking, artificial intelligence, is that still scope? I would like to show you something. I collected something from my WhatsApp today. Yesterday I received a message from Kent Oro system. The Kent Oro system, they sent me a message stating that they are coming out with water heaters, and they would prefer that I, buy the water heater from them, so that, there can be a saving of gas. Now, I have got an automated messaging in my WhatsApp where it says, first time I receive a message from someone, it says, "Thank you for reaching out to Arun Subramanian. Please tell me how I can be of help to you." This automated message went to them. What would you expect a company like Kent to do? I'm just asking you. Anyone here can answer. What would you expect a company like Kent to do?
did they call you back?
Anybody else? I want you people to realize that what primitive level of automation, artificial intelligence, or whatever it is. You see, I'm not an expert by any stretch of imagination. I don't know what all these things come under, but all I know is that the whole process is automated, and I presume it has got something to do with technology and artificial intelligence in it. Some sort of a system is working there. And I was shocked. I want to show you what really happened. That will show you the type of demand that is going to be for AI specialists. Just see this. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it? You see, the first one is at 3:47, as soon as the message came yesterday, I have immediately, my automated message says, "I'm very happy to hear from you. Please tell me how I can be of service to you. Regards, Arun Subramanian." At 4:11, a message has come back from them. What does it say? "I hear you, but your query is a bit too long to handle all at once. To begin, please select one of the following options or ask me your query in simpler words. Service call status, register a service call, Kent dealership. Pick a topic you need help with by typing a number below."
Now this comes as a backdrop of multiple.
Can you imagine how sad it is? Totally unrelated response from them. That means we have adopted a technology which we don't even know how to use. This sort of a thing will not work in future, Ms. Suma, because your entire life is going to be controlled by such things. If you are going to be using technology just for the sake of using technology without intelligently, you are going to perish. Sales is going to be entirely different. Sales, as we know, is not going to exist. There was a huge research which was done in the last 2 years, and they found out how sales is going to change. The entire, economy runs on selling. You produce, you sell, then only you make money. And selling was more a face-to-face thing in most places, one-on-one, but that is not going to be a possibility anymore. The sales representative's job has now been identified as containing two components. The researcher who did the job called it as sales development engineer and customer success specialist. What a funny way of calling them. Sales development engineer. Why an engineer? Because this gentleman has to know the process by which he collects the data which the data scientist has generated and the insights, and then integrates it with the corporate requirement, their functional process, and then drives that process to get the initial set of leads. His job stops with creating the leads necessary, the initial set of leads necessary, and then he hands it over to the person he calls the customer success specialist. This customer success specialist combines both soft and hard skills and takes that set of initial leads and converts it into revenue. I was talking with a sales manager of a multinational company. When we were having this discussion about it, he says, "Sir, then what will happen to all of us?" A simple question, what will happen to all of us, tells thousands of stories. That selling as being done now and selling as being envisioned in the new normal is a totally different thing altogether.
So you're talking about selling, you're talking about many new verticals which are emerging. That means disruption is here to stay. Disruption is here to stay.
Disruption has already happened, Ms. Suma. It is over, done and dusted. Disruption does not happen every day. You have been transported to Mars. Only thing is you have not yet realized it.
That's a good.
It is a question of adapting yourself to it.
That's
you see, when the meteor hit Earth during the dinosaur period, the dinosaurs did not become extinct in one day. Maybe it took 1,000 years. So during the 1,000 years, can you just imagine what the dinosaurs must have gone through?
Absolutely.
The meteor has hit. The journey has begun. Now adapt. There is no question of not adapting. Robotics is here to stay. Healthcare is going to be totally redefined. You see, now we are entering into an era of healthcare being defined in only two ways: preventive medicine and interventional medicine. All this, drama-baji of going every day to the clinic, and that was a hypochondriac's paradise. All those things are not going to happen anymore. Even the medical profession will have to reinvent itself totally. Totally, it will have to reinvent itself.
So good, you brought this out and you're talking about reinvention. What are the skills the general public will have to acquire with this reinvention?
That's a beautiful question. That's a beautiful question. There are, recently Harvard Medical School, the Harvard Division of Continuing Education, they came up with a list of 10 emerging skills for professionals because on the basis of the COVID. The first skill which they spoke about was analytical thinking and innovative skills. And why is it important? It's important because it is now that you have to use all your critical thinking skills, analyze the situation correctly, behave in an innovative manner, lead your fixed set of thinking, and look at life anew. It is absolutely essential that you do that. That is very, very important. Even as automation and artificial intelligence is taking over certain jobs, the unique human ability to think critically will never fall out of trend. You have to learn to build on your ability to think critically through your analytical and innovative skills. Second thing is, you have to learn how to learn. That is where implicit thinking learning comes. You have to learn how to learn. But the people have forgotten how to learn. They think rote learning is learning. It is not. Rote learning is not learning. You know, if Nadia Comaneci could create a 10 on 3 different platforms in the gymnastics, it was not because she went in for rote learning, rote muscle learning. No. Automaticity is not about rote learning. Whatever you learn, if you have to be able to use it in multiple platforms in different circumstances, you need to understand why something is happening the way it is happening, how it is happening, what is the science behind it. Unfortunately, our education system worldwide has not practiced it. So, Garrison, Anderson, and Archer, through their community of inquiry, had already propounded in 2001. But very, very unfortunately, the political leadership, the education leadership did not adopt it. The result, you have put maybe 2 generations in crisis. Entire 2 generations.
2 generations? What do you mean by that, Mr. Subramanian?
I heard someone speak of a generation gap being just 7 years nowadays. So you see the current generation, which is around 40, 35, 40, and the coming generation, the emerging generation, 25, 26, both these generations are in crisis. Those who are 27, 28, 30 years old, they are too old to start to relearn again everything. And those who are 40, they have got very little time to relearn and build a career. And why this has happened? Because of our inclination to learn by rote.
So how do we mitigate these factors? How do we mitigate this and accentuate one's growth?
No, I am reminded of some great person telling, as you sow, so you reap. As you make your bed, you sleep in it. 16.2 crore people have lost their job in the first and the second wave. I was in one platform a couple of days back in an NGO who were discussing about the possibility of, helping farmers, the marginal and the small farmers, and how they can be helped. At that time, one gentleman was talking about his brother-in-law, who is a very brilliant person, very capable, very efficient, but who lost his job in downsizing, and he is in a state of depression. He doesn't know what to do. He has got lots of liabilities like home loan, car loan, education loan. At a particular stage in life, when you have growing up children whom you have to educate, and growing up children whom you have to get married off, you buy a house, you buy a car, you never think, something so insignificant and microscopic as a pandemic, a corona, can create such a huge havoc. Because it has never happened in history. Not at least in recallable history. In 1918, it had happened, the Spanish influenza. But you see, nobody remembers that. We have a very short memory. And when I was talking with him, he was telling, Mr. Subramanian, this has happened. I asked him only one thing. Supposing you are an entrepreneur, you got 100 employees. You have got sufficient money coming in to support only 50 employees. And you have to run the company. What will you do? He said, why? I will have to send off 50. I said, which 50 will you send? He said, those who are not pulling their weight. I kept quiet. For 2 minutes, he kept quiet. Then he asked me, are you suggesting that my brother-in-law, co-brother, was not pulling his weight? I said, I'm not suggesting anything. I asked a question, you gave an answer. The matter ends there. So you see, Mitigation means, like Rudyard Kipling said, when with the throw of a dice, you lose everything that you have. Get up, brush the seat of your pants and say, come on, let's start all over again. Then you are a man, otherwise you are a boy. Each and every one of us will have to get up, brush the seat of our pant and say, let me pull myself up by my shoelaces. Very difficult task. But if you can do that, you will prove Darwin right. So that the most adaptable will survive. If not, you can rue your fate, you can go to astrologers, you can go to temple. Even God cannot help you. That's the unfortunate truth. As some poet rightly said, God is in his heaven and everything is okay with the world.
Okay, the God is in heaven and everything is okay with the world.
Yeah, that's because he only made Corona also. Now, if he interferes COVID, will ask him, why the hell did you make me then?
Absolutely. So if that is the case, that means, there is a lot of, I see here a great attraction for this year to be reckoned with. What is that attraction according to you?
The biggest attraction according to me is here, in every crisis, embedded in every crisis are the seeds of opportunity. It is only in crisis period that giants have appeared. That is the saying, we used to say in our college days. I don't know whether people say this now or not, because nowadays people are very educated. I don't know whether they use such colloquial language, but in our days we used to say, Majboori ka naam Mahatma Gandhi. If that compulsion had not been there, Mahatma Gandhi would not be here. Right? So you see, now there is a huge Majboori. Let us see how many Mahatma Gandhis rise. There is a crisis, no doubt about it. But what is stopping you? As in Julius Caesar, he says that comes a time, a tide in the affairs of men, which when taken by the storm leads on to fortune. Now there is a huge tide. Are you going to take advantage of it? Or are you going to crib? Every day in my WhatsApp, I receive so many motivational messages. Don't complain when opportunity comes knocking, open the door. I feel like asking that man, are you doing anything else other than forwarding messages? What opportunity have you opened the door to? Yesterday in one of the platforms, a young boy of maybe around 26, 27 or 28 gave a wonderful program on artificial intelligence and machine learning. I was wondering at this age, I did not even know the ABCD of it. And here is this young man talking so eloquently about it. It is people like those boys, who are going to make it big in this world. And others, like Shakespeare said, they also play a part who stand by and watch. Yes, we can all stand by and watch while others make their life. For them, there will be no need to mitigate anything. But for us, we cannot mitigate. There is nothing to mitigate.
Well, point taken. One more question. Now, we have been talking about Julius Caesar, Shakespeare, and all those, all storytellers. What is that you're trying to tell us?
Storytelling has been there since time immemorial. In fact, from the beginning of time. Do you know why?
Please shed more light on that.
When did time begin? With the Big Bang Theory. That's what scientists say, right? And how do they explain it to you, but other than through a story? Evolution of man, you go back to the Genesis. You have Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. You have God telling them, don't eat from the fruit of knowledge. You have the serpent coming and inducing them to eat, calling God a fibber. Eve takes the apple, gives it to Adam. Adam bites, and realization comes that yes, God also fibs. Isn't this a story? Why do you remember it? Is it that this story has been told every day to you by your parents and your neighbors and your friends? No, maybe you heard it once. It has stuck to your mind. That is the power of storytelling. Stories are the way the mind thinks. Imagine, think of it. The early man, when they were all so separated, there were hardly about a few hundred or 1,000 on this planet. They did not know each other. One man suddenly saw a saber-toothed tiger killing another animal. He realized the saber-toothed tiger is dangerous. Then in the course of time, he met 3, 4 of them, and 5, 6 of them started staying together. One day he's going towards the cave. Suddenly he sees a saber-toothed tiger coming towards that cave. Now he has the challenge of going to explain to the other 4 that a very dangerous animal is coming towards them. The other 4 do not know what a saber-toothed tiger is. This man does not know a saber-toothed tiger. He only knows it's an animal which can kill. There is no language. There is no means of communication. Can you imagine the challenge, Miss Suma, that man must have felt, the brain must have felt in trying to tell to his community members that, look, guys, we need to do something now immediately? Stories were born. Now he had the challenge of explaining to them what he had seen, how he had seen it. Explain to them that now if they have to save themselves, they'll have to do something. Stories are what the brain thinks through. Doctors, neuroscientists like Antonio Damasio or Yuri Hansen, they have done immense amount of research on the cognitive science of storytelling. And they have come up with things which are mind-blowing. Are you aware that the Ivy League universities have storytelling as a course? They have them in the curriculum. Why? Do you really think that universities like Harvard and Stanford will talk about storytelling? Procter and Gamble, they have a director, content director for storytelling. His name is Jordan Kelly. He is the one who drives the strategy of building the corporate and the brands. Storytelling is a huge thing. And if the world wants to drive people towards change, it has to adopt implicit teaching and storytelling as its main tool. Only then it will be able to impact the generations to come. Again, many people may not accept this, but then that's okay. That's absolutely okay. Whenever people have talked sense, they have all been pushed on. There was a time, when people thought the earth is flat. And God knows what happened to the first person who said, no, earth is not flat. There was a time, when people were promoting geocentricity. They said that earth is at the center of this universe. God knows what they did to him before heliocentricity was accepted. So it's okay if people don't accept these things, but these are going to play very important roles, and you will have to drive your learning and teaching through by implicit methods, by getting people to go and search for information, because that stays longer in the mind. When you serve something, it doesn't stay for long. When you search for something, it stays for long. Similarly, you need to pass your message. When packaged in a story, it stays for long. Imagine the greatest storyteller history has known, mankind has known, Jesus Christ. He has a following of 2.89 billion of the 7.87 billion in this world, accounting for 31% of the people. Valmiki, a dacoit turned into a poet, wrote Ramayana and got a following of 1.61 billion people. These are not fictional figures. These are figures which are given by the world organizations.
Now, how is it relevant to this time and age, Mr. Subramanian? You're talking about storytelling. How is it relevant now?
Very relevant. How do you communicate with people? You need to communicate with people, isn't it? The person is not standing there in front of you. He is separated by you by thousands of kilometers. You are talking to him over a phone or you are talking to him over a digital platform. If you cannot get his brain hooked to what you are telling, how will he receive it? He will not receive it. And then all your message will go to waste.
So you're telling storytelling is one of the attributes the person has to have now. And it's the power of now.
Absolutely. 210%. You can only ignore it at your own risk. Ignore it at your own risk. See, I'll tell you a simple example. There was a time when I was the marketing manager of a company. We were doing very well, but we had launched a product which was not doing very good. The name of the product was Red Home. It was our hyperhomocystinemia, and hyperhomocystinemia was a new concept at that time. And we were trying to sell trimethylglycine. And at this trimethylglycine, it was a very challenging thing. And it was mainly focused on dermatologists and neurologists. Because, age, the advanced glycation end product, there is something called an advanced glycation end product inside the body, which goes and it destroys the myelin sheath over the nerves, due to which diabetic neuropathy and various types of neuropathy occur. And this advanced glycation end product, it can be, the generation of it can be stopped by only one product, that is trimethylglycine. The trimethylglycine contains 3 methyl compounds. So the methylation process regenerates the myelin sheath and prevents neuropathy. We were struggling to sell that product. And the managers were all doing their targets, but they were all failing in this product. So one day, I was just thinking what to do, how to get over this problem. It struck me, what happens? I saw my wife feeding my second son. He was maybe around 1.5 years old. And he was telling he will not eat this, he will only eat that. Something she was trying to feed him, and he was not ready to eat one part of it. He was ready to eat the other parts. He does not like this and that. What she did was, she told him, okay, Akshay, we will do one thing. You don't like this. So what we will do is, we will eat this first. Once you eat this first, then you will not have to eat it at all. Then I will give you everything else, okay? Then he said, the child, in its own way, he tried to bargain with my wife that, are you sure that once I take this, you will not bring more and ask me to eat it again? She said, no, I promise you, I will not ask you. You eat this first, then I will give you everything else. He ate it. As the meeting was going on, it suddenly struck me. I thought, why don't I use this strategy? I told this story to them and asked them, friends, is there any way we can incorporate this into our selling strategy so that we can do it? You know what happened? They suggested, said, this is an excellent idea. What we will do is, the first week of every month, we will concentrate exclusively on Red Home. We will try to finish off our target for Red Home in the first week, so that, we will be free of all tension and we will sell the other products. You won't believe it, Suma, within 6 months, Red Home achieved its target. Slowly it started off, the sales started picking, and slowly we found exactly the way we had envisioned. By the first 7 or 10 days, the target of that month of that product would have been completed, and we would always be on target with every product, including that product. Now tell me one thing, what succeeded here?
You're hinting at storytelling?
That's all. Nothing else. Because you see, I could convey through what had happened at home as a story there, and that is why it clicked. Many companies will have tried, okay, we will do this, we will prioritize this. Using words like prioritize, this, that, it goes over the head. But everyone has a child at home. Everyone sees their wife doing this. They see the child, accepting it and falling in line. It relates. The human mind, Suma, works through representativeness. What is representative? What is happening everywhere? It will accept. In every house, this is happening. You yourself are a mother. How many times you have told stories to your child to get him to eat or get him to sleep or get him to listen to you?
Absolutely.
Why? We think stories are meant for children, but we forget we are grown-up children. We are overgrown children. If I am 6 feet, I am 6 feet of 1.5-year-old Arun. That's all. I kept on growing in size. The brain still remains the child. Why do we want to have relationship with people? Why do we like friends? Why do we like people? Only because the child in us craves attention. The child in us craves affection. The child in us craves recognition. It is for the child that we are doing everything. Then why not serve what the child wants? Time, that if we have to, see, I told you, those who are born last 3-4 years, for them it is not going to be a challenge. If you are capable of recognizing the child inside you, which is still 2 and 3 years old, then you are also born 2-3 years back. Then it is not going to be a challenge for you also. It's only when you start thinking, I am 40 plus or 35 plus or whatever it is, then the challenge comes.
Absolutely.
Storytelling, design thinking is another wonderful problem solving tool, which has been very less used, very, very less used. These things should become a part of the educational curriculum. And the entire education should be driven in the implicit way. Force people to look for information. Stop serving information to them. Instead of giving information, get them to search for information. That will serve. People will go and very happily search for it.
Great.
I'm asking you a question, Ms. Suma. Given a choice of studying physics and reading a James Hadley Chase book, which would you prefer?
The latter.
Why? In both the cases, you are looking for some information.
Absolutely.
But in the second, you are looking for information with an intention of knowing whether the protagonist could get away by killing the villain or not. But in the former, somebody is telling you why an apple fell. So you see, when you go in search of information, it sticks to you. But when information is served, you don't like it.
Well, great. With this, I would like to ask the last question, the closing.
Please.
You talked about design thinking, you talked about storytelling, you talked about many other skills. What, according to you, should be the preparation that should define this year, 2022?
2022 is not going to be any different than 2020 or 2021 in terms of uncertainties, in terms of challenges which mankind is going to face. It's all old wine in new bottle. It was COVID-19, 2020. 2021 was the year of the Delta. 22, Omicron, or maybe something else. But ultimately, one thing is definite. If it depends upon which stage of the change your mind is in. As I said, cognitive science identifies 5 stages to change. First is denial. Second is anger. Third is negotiation. Fourth is depression. Fifth is acceptance. If you are in the denial stage, you will have to wait till the situation gets worse. If you are in anger stage, okay, you have moved one step forward. At least you are angry that things are happening like this. Soon that anger will also tire you out. Then you will move into the third. You'll start negotiating. Okay, I will accept this, but this is not going to happen. People are wrong in that. Then will come the depression. You will feel, what the hell, man, again it's the same. Just imagine, isn't that what the country went through?
Very true. That's what is happening now.
Yeah, now you see the third wave. Now people are talking of it being a tsunami. After the second wave, people have said, "Arey, nothing will happen, yeah, it's all okay." Then, there was a huge euphoria that so much of vaccination has happened. Now you see, there is a tsunami. Now people are not even, when they find, if they are mildly affected, they are not even informing the government or informing the municipal authorities. They are just quarantining themselves. But what they don't realize is that falling sick also has an economic cost. Do you know? 12% of the revenue of every company is lost because of absenteeism. That means if a company makes 1 crore rupees, 12%, 12 lakhs is lost because employees go absent. Now imagine if 1 crore people in this country in 1 year time were to fall sick and not report for duty for 5 days, what is going to be the economic cost to the GDP? See, people are not thinking about things in a holistic fashion. What will be the level of social unrest which will happen?
Obnoxious.
What will be the level of crime? How much crime will increase? People have to eat anyway. Huh? People lose jobs. See, just imagine. We are all very happy that only weekend lockdowns. Do you know what weekend lockdowns means to the daily wager and the vendor? 2 of 7 days amounts to how much? Nearly 30%. That means you are going to be working for 5 days and 2 days you go without money. And how long will this continue? How long can this continue? People are talking about the third wave peaking in February. Already there is talk about a new variant having come out in XV, BZ and all that. China, 10 cities have gone into lockdown. It is in the grip of a third wave. China itself is announcing that it is having a third wave. Can you imagine? They don't announce anything. But they are even, as they say, 2 things you can't hide, pregnancy and an elephant. Now the third is the COVID pandemic. If China has announced it, even that has not been able to hide it.
I remember one of the WhatsApp forwards which said, how is this going to be, this year going to be? Somebody has sent that however China behaves, it depends on how China is.
No, you see, 2022 is going to be nothing different than 21 and 20. And you see, I'll tell you, our normal life is going to be very different going forward. It's going to be very different. Our social behavioral patterns will change. We will have to start looking at alternate income streams. Gig economy has already come into place. People are preferring to be a consultant and work at their convenience rather than be tied down to an appointment letter. These are all the trends with the younger generation. They are looking at life-work balance much more seriously than we did. They are less caring about savings than we were. Okay, there is already a major shift. And with the toddlers, I think we will totally leave behind what we grew up as. I'm sure if my grandson were ever to hear that his granddad's childhood was like this, he would laugh and say, don't tell me that I am the grandson of a Stone Age man. Life is going to be very different for them. It is for, I feel, extremely sympathetic towards the age group from between 18, or not even 18, from around say 12 to 50. they are the one who are going to face the brunt. At 50, you have a daughter at marriageable age, you have a son who has to get himself effectively employed, you have home loans to pay, you have car loans to pay, you have education loans to repay, and an uncertain world all around you, with economy going for a toss every 15 days. It is something like the waxing and waning of the moon. 6 months of the year, you talk about the economy coming up, then 6 months you talk about it being hammered down. Life is going to be full of challenges. It is time people started seriously looking at alternate means of income, upskilling themselves, retraining themselves, looking into the digital platform, looking into artificial intelligence, seriously taking machine learning, looking into getting their children educated on the online platform, spending time with them. No more can you just hand over your child to a school and to a teacher and then hold a gun to her head and say, I have paid the fees. Now, why you have not educated her? No, that will not work anymore. You will have to spend time. You will have to spend time with your child. Don't forget, it is your child. It is not the teacher's child. The teacher can now do only that much. Education system needs to wake up to this.
Well, it was a very exhaustive session of emerging trends. Thank you so much for shedding your knowledge and expertise on this. And I'm sure the audience have gained some insights into what to look for in the new normal. As you rightly said, the new normal has already arrived. So what to look for the new normal and where we have to head towards from 2022 onwards. So for your time. If audience have any questions, we can take 1 or 2 questions. Is that okay to take 1 or 2 questions?
Yeah. Any amount of questions, no issue. Let them ask.
Sure. Could you please raise your hands if you have a question? I will. One. Okay. Mr. Mahendra. Mr. Mahendra, question?
Remember what? May I ask one question?
Yeah, Mr.
Just a minute. Mr. Mahendra wants to ask some question.
Okay.
Mr. Mahendra, I think it was just a audio challenge.
Okay. You can type the question in the chat box. Okay, someone else can ask them.
Yeah, sir, you have told about learning. Learning
How to learn.
How to learn. That I can't understand. Please.
You see, how were you learning earlier?
Earlier, by books and curriculum was there, and we study there, and then put in examination, and then got the numbers.
How you are learning, I will tell you. The teacher used to stand at the head of the class. The students used to sit in a very organized manner in benches.
Yes.
Teacher used to take a class for 40 minutes or 1 hour.
Yes.
Rapid fire like a machine gun, the information used to keep pouring out of her or his mouth.
Yes.
You used to take notes.
Yes.
And then the teacher used to suddenly ask you a question. Mathur Saab, Mathur, bolo, ye kya hai?
Yes.
Depending upon whether you could answer or not, you are a good or a bad student.
Okay. Yes.
Then every 3 months, once there used to be an examination. It was called, if I'm not mistaken, a terminal examination. And then in the end of the year, there used to be a final examination.
Yes.
And then, depending upon the type of marks you get, you are either pass or fail. A time came when the government said no one should be failed till class 8.
Yes.
Like Bhed Bakri, everyone used to be pushed into the next class. And in class 9, 10, and 11, you used to spend 8 hours in school, another 8 hours in the tuition, 16 hours, balance 6 hours that used to be at home. At that time also, parents used to keep reminding you that boy studies better than you, this boy gets more marks than you, and if you don't do this, you will be a clerk. So you are in total fear. This is what learning was before 2020. 2020, schools closed down. First 3 months, everyone felt it is a vacation. Students also felt it is a vacation. Parents also felt it is a vacation. No forcing children to go to school. No asking whether homework has been done. No terminal examination. No mark sheet. No assessment. Everyone was happy. Now suddenly they realize that it is a big problem. The 3 months became 6. 6 became 9. 9 became 12 to 15 to 18 to now 24 months have gone. Now, even the students have forgotten what the school looks like. There was one cartoon a couple of days back where a child is standing in front of a building and keep looking at it. The father asks, "What are you looking there?" He says, "Daddy, this building looks very familiar." That was her school. And now the concept of school is going to go, because if this continues, how long will the teachers be paid? How long will the students pay the fees? Students will stop paying fees because school is not working. Teachers will stop getting salary. Then they will stop coming. Administration will feel this is not a good enough business, because school is also a business for the administration. Nah, they are least interested in the students' education. They are interested in making money out of the fees and the donation.
Yes.
So that business becomes a loss-making business. That will close. Now you have to relearn. What do you have to relearn? How to learn by yourself. Now a teacher is a person who facilitates the desire to learn. It is a joint responsibility of the parents and teachers to identify the passion of the child and facilitate the child in acquiring greatness in its passion. Tell me one thing, Mr. Mathur.
Yes, sir.
How many children do you have?
2.
Okay, I will not ask you son or daughter.
No, one
Did
son,
you
one daughter.
not tell them what they should become?
Yes, I told.
Then what was their crime being born to you? Any other crime they have done? Why should you tell them what they should study? They should want to study something by themselves.
Sir,
That is learning to learn. Are you understanding what I'm telling? Like some great man said, if you do what you love, you will never need to work for a single day in your life. All work will be play when you love what you are doing. And now you have to find out what your child likes, facilitate its learning, help it. Today, education, information, knowledge is fingertips. Thanks to COVID, we realize it is available at fingertips. I'll say COVID has done a great job for us. Like someone has written here, blended learning is going to stay. You're absolutely right, Mr. Jyotilal Janardhan. Blended learning is here to stay. And the sooner people realize that, the better it will be for everyone.
Excellent, excellent.
Excellent, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Well, we don't see any questions in the chat box or the hands raised. So thank you so much for logging in. Thank you so much, Mr. Subramaniam, for your time and sharing your knowledge and expertise and telling us, what are the trends, emerging trends in the new normal to look for.
Ms. Suma, I would like to remind all members of the congregation here that what I have said is only the tip of the iceberg. I would request them to go and look for publications, very serious publications, and then they will be able to understand how things are really changing. Change is the only constant.
Yes.
Adopt it, embrace it, enjoy it.
Okay, sir.
You know, life is a roller coaster. Have you been on a roller coaster, Miss Suma?
Yes, sir. Once, very scary.
So how do you like it when it is slowly chugging up? As an anticipation is built that now it is going to go hurling down. When it goes hurling down, it's a mixture of excitement and fear.
Oh yeah.
But you know nothing is going to happen because nothing has ever happened. And then again it starts chugging up. That is life. Why feel scared about it? Now we are hurling down. Remember one thing, we will again go up. As that great person said, when you are standing at the top of the cliff and there is no other choice, jump. God will either give you wings to fly or he will be there at the bottom to hold you. Trust and jump.
Leap of faith.
Leap of faith.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks everyone for logging in.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Please
you.
remember, we will be having many expert speak chat series and the details will be shared in the WhatsApp. Looking forward to have you in the next event. We will let you know. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Good
Stay
night.
safe. Be happy.
Thank you.
Enjoy what's happening. You got only one life.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
We